All right, dude, we're live. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday afternoon. I have struggled with the Trailblazer again. I know you guys are tired of me talking about the Trailblazer, but I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to keep working on it until I fix it. And I was doing that, and Lyle Barnett and I were messaging back and forth. He said, "Man, I'm trying to get home to jump on." So I said, "Well, hey, we're going to go ahead and go live. We're going to do all this thing, and we're just going to have some friends come in." I've sent messages out to about 5 different people. Hey, Danny, and Eric with 815 is on the road driving home, so he's got about 5 hours. So I don't know. We're gonna drink some beers and have some fun and talk some cars. Are you ready? Uh-oh, I don't know. Can you hear me, Casey? Okay, there we go. Oh, is there a delay of that much?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay,
it's pretty significant. Yeah.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Are you? Well, this will be fun. I'll just make sure when I ask my questions to give you time to answer before I start talking again. So, okay, let's do it. Here we go. Yeah, so what we're basically going to do is I'm going to ask you the same questions I was asking Lyle Barnett. They just won't be nearly as cool, because like you don't drive a ProMod as your day job.
Right. Well, I mean, I drive a 64 Chevelle station wagon, which that's almost the same.
It's almost the same. Almost. The length is almost the same as what a ProMod is. Almost. All right. Let's get to it, dude. Let me jump in here. Let me get these pulled up. I'm going to have to find them. So why don't you first, while I do all of that work, why don't you tell folks where they can find you, all the social links and things like that.
All right. My name is Casey. My YouTube channel is Patina Pit Stop. And check out my Instagram, TikTok, FaceSpace, all those Patina Pit Stops, how you find me. Basically, my YouTube channel follows me as a below average backyard mechanic that knows just enough to get myself into trouble. So I have a 64 Chevelle station wagon and an 86 Chevrolet S10. That's my daily driver for right now. And just me, kind of like Roadkill, kind of like, Finnegan's Garage, those kind of shows. Just following me messing around with cars, drag racing, burnouts, stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely some burnouts. The burnout videos, like in your intro, is good, dude. It's really good. I enjoy it very much. All right, let's get to it. Stuff with Cletus, I see, is in here.
Yeah, that one was
Rich GT350R is in here. What's up to you guys? And again, Eric's on the road, so comment inappropriate things for him to. Let's see if we can get him to give us some street signs or mile markers that are interesting. I don't know, or not mile markers, like roadside markers that are cool. Oh, dude! Hey, we have an international guest in the backstage, so I'm gonna bring him on too. It's Wasted Talent Fab, who is on tomorrow night. What's up, dude? Oh, listen, that's all the intro you get, man.
Hey, it's more than I normally get, so I'll take it, boys. How's it going?
Dude, I'm excited about tomorrow night. It's going to be fun getting to know you. We've been on a couple different live feeds together, in the same little section. You do a ton of backstage stuff for a lot of folks, which is really cool. And I want to pick your brain on all that. And why don't you kind of same thing for Casey while you go, kind of give us some update on you and where you're at, what you're doing, all the project cars you have, all that kind of stuff.
All right, yeah. So hopefully the internet connection is okay. I'm coming a long way. I'm over in right now. I'm in Sicily, so I'm a long ways away. I think it's it's 9:14 Sunday night over here. So it's getting all that going. Yeah. The time change is crazy with all of this. But so Wasted Talent Fabrications. I do a ton of just everything in the garage, you know what I mean? So I've done everything from cab swaps on trucks to LS swaps in a 350Z. I've got a Subaru Outback Impreza that I'm, or WRX or whatever you want to call that damn thing, that I'm LS swapping with a big turbo. Done street bikes, Ford Mustangs, Ford Broncos, Chevy trucks. I'm not necessarily a Ford guy, and that's mainly because of those cars I just named off that I worked on. They leave a bad taste, but I will work on just about anything.
That's awesome. So what's the?
But
I guess
right
I
now,
just saw an under. Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say I saw an underhood shot of the Subaru the other day, and I was like, "Holy crap, dude! How does that fit?"
It doesn't very well, and it's not finished yet. So the more stuff I put in, the more of a pain in the ass it is to drop the whole cradle out the bottom, which is pretty much how anything is going to get done on that car when it's time to do anything outside of like spark plugs, realistically.
Right.
I'm keeping it a harness and as condensed as possible, and I'll probably end up doing some sort of firewall connector, kind of like Kevin at KSR does, so that I can just unplug a few things and drop the whole drivetrain at the bottom of the car. Because once I get the turbo piping snaked down and in there, because the idea is to keep that thing looking kind of like Stapleton's freaking Cadillac, to where it looks stock. I want it to look and sound like a rowdy stock, you know what I mean? And then I got want to put a dump on the front, uncork it, and then actually push some power through because it's got a billet wheel Borg Warner, what is it, 476, 470 something? I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
That's going to be on that thing.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that'll be good for 600 or 700 pretty easy.
Yeah, there's a lot of, that was just one of those projects where I was like, what's a shitty little car that I could make fast and cool? Like, it's a wagon, so it's just the most unassuming thing. And then we back halved the car, so I cut the whole back end of that car out and put a 8.8 with a 4-link that I built that probably will have to be rebuilt again. And if you watch the series, was built like 4 different iterations because I've never done one before. And I was like, well, screw it, we'll throw some parts at it and see what happens.
Yeah. That's awesome. I don't know what happened to Matt. He jumped in the back, Matt, with Big Block's Garage. He was in there for a second, and then he was gone. I turned my heater off, but I might have turned this stupid thing back on. Hang on. So why are you in Sicily?
So my day job is I work on airplanes for the Navy, and they needed me out here to work on supply. So that's what I'm doing here for the holidays.
That's cool. All right, I'm gonna bring Matt into. Like I said, we're just gonna do a panel, guys. We're gonna bring some folks in and out as you get in where you fit in, things like that. If you are wanting to jump on, put it over in the comments. We'll bring some folks on. Lyle said he's about 30 or 40 minutes out, so we're just gonna hang out until he gets ready, and then I'm gonna kick everybody's asses out. Then we're gonna get to it. So,
yeah.
What's up, dude?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, drinking some beers. Figured I would have some fun with some friends while we let Lyle get to the house.
There you go.
Yeah. Did you cut your hair?
Yeah.
You shave your beard?
Yeah.
Dude, I love it.
I mean, there's still some stuff here, but I mean, it's just so thin because,
Yeah.
I'm not a gifted bearded man like you are, my sir.
Well, dude, look the way the lighting hits this. It looks like I have a goatee.
I mean,
it's all the same length. It's all the same length. I don't know.
Definitely looks like you
It's
have
a little
rock
thicker
solid.
there.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Oh, we lost one.
We lost Casey. Dang it. All right. Well, dude, Matt, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and all your social handles and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, everybody can find me on anywhere at Big Blocks Garage, all one word, and on the Motley Crew of Mopars, which is on Facebook only right now.
Yeah. Dude, that's not going to work for you. You're too much of a social media diva to only be on one.
We're working on it. There's actually a pretty funny video up that Johnny posted up today that I recommend you guys go check out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll get it, Mike. If you're or any podcaster, will get it. It's pretty funny. Yeah.
I'll have to watch that here in just a little bit. And that's under the Motley Crew of Mopars?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Sweet. That's awesome. Well, Wasted, I don't even know your first name. Do you just go by WTF?
Sometimes, it wouldn't be the first time people have said that directed to my face. No, I'm Brian. Is actually my first
nice. All right, well, I'm excited.
Wasted is actually what I normally go by, and it's pretty fitting in most ways.
Well, I can only imagine traveling the world like that. It would be pretty hard to not live life like that if I wasn't at work.
I'm telling you, it's been a long time since I've done a trip like this, and I was a lot younger the last time. And I can party the first day about as hard as I used to, but after that, these kids, they leave me dust, man. It's not like it was 15 years ago.
Yeah, 2 days in a row makes it a little rough. I see Hidden Motorsports has popped in. He was on last night or night before last. I don't know, whatever. When I had the huge struggle with the craziness of losing power to the shop, it cut me out of the system. I couldn't get logged into my phone. It was hilarious, man. We had a good time. Man. So he kept the live stream going for like 20 minutes, and then he bounced. And then I got power back 3 minutes later. I messaged him. I'm like, dude, can we jump back on, please? And then we went for another 2 hours. So the podcast for that one's like 2 hours and 40 minutes. So
see over here, man, with the time and then the schedule on work, my schedule changes. It depends on what the plane's doing. So I just happen to be up right now. Normally it's all near. Like last night, Saturday night, was it yesterday? I don't know, yesterday I think. So 3 a.m. I got up to start my live. And whatnot.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. But I figure if I did it for normal time, 9 o'clock out here, no one's really willing to watch it at 2 a.m. in the morning or whatever that boils down to be.
Yeah, dude, jump on, man. Hell, I'm sure there's people that are up.
Might be, yeah. I try to do like a set on Saturday one, so I don't because I pay for the StreamYard, so I don't want to eat through too many hours on that one.
Yeah, you don't want to waste any of that stuff. What so how long will you be there?
To the end of January sometime.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so a little over a month or so.
Yeah.
So it's not the end of the world, but I got to get back to New Orleans and get my stuff ready because I'm retiring in April.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, that's great. What are you going to do after you retire? Like, you just going to like run around, work on cars and podcast and live stream?
Basically, I mean, I have rental properties that I've acquired over the years, and then with my retirement and disability and everything, I won't have to go get a real job.
Dude, Matt, we made bad life decisions.
It's one of those deals where it's like don't get me wrong, I'm not going to be taking over the world or anything, but I won't be I'm stable, and the whole plan is to get this doing a thing where I can just tax write-offs. That's the whole reason I'm in for, is because I was doing all this stuff. I mean, I built my Z in 2010, and I wish I would have started what I'm doing now with that series in 2010. I mean, there wasn't anybody really doing swaps.
Right.
Yep. And now it's like they're all like, oh, you have an LS Swap Z. That's a really original. I was like, well, 10 years ago it was. But it was I went. So all my videos are shot in the past. Like every Wednesday a video comes out, and because trips like these pop up, and I like to have a steady video count. So I actually was recording for almost a year before I even started the YouTube channel, just to backlog footage. So
what you're saying is you're smart. We get it.
It's just it's a necessity thing with the job. You know what I mean? It's just one of those deals. And then when I was in New Orleans with this last hurricane went through, didn't have internet, but I had the generator, and so I sat and just edited videos. So I have videos done, uploaded, and waiting to pop until April.
Oh man, that's crazy. There's no way I could be that far forward. I'd be like, nope, I can't. I'm just going to drop it daily until then.
So that was the trick. It's one of those where you once you get them done, you just want to flood the market with them because you're ready. You want them to be out there. But then I got to think about, like, right now, I haven't made any real footage in over a year. With moving to Louisiana, I never found a shop space to work. So I've got the Subaru in my entire garage that you see in my videos stuffed in a 40-foot race trailer sitting on my buddy's farm in Mississippi. And it's just sitting. And I haven't been able to get anywhere to really, unpack and set up. It's worth it to do, because I can't afford to pay $2,000 for a shop space.
Right. So when you do retire, where are you moving, and why is it Northwest Arkansas?
So Southern Oregon is where.
What the hell, man?
That's where I'm from. Southern Oregon. My wife and child are already there. They've been there since.
Dude, they love Northwest Arkansas. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, so that's part of the plan about being able to roll out and do. Like, so I've got the tow pig, I've got the big race trailer, and I want to have it set up to have the fab capabilities out of it. I want to be able to roll and go do things with you guys. Roll, like, get the call. Hey, we're pushing to make race week in 2 weeks. Can you come through and throw my race pig in so we can finish what I've got to do with it, and then roll up to like your place and be like, and here's the majority of a fab shop, because I've cobbled together quite the bit of stuff to, like, I'm one of those guys that looks at a car and they're like $2,000. I'm like, oof, that's too much, bud. I can't afford that. But I look at a Miller Welder for $2,500 brand new, and I'm like, I
need that. I need
take
that.
my money. Yeah, here, take my money.
I think fabricable is my new favorite word.
I stole it from somewhere, and I don't know exactly where I stole it.
We need shirts that say fabricable.
I want to say it was one of the British guys I watch in one of the YouTubes. It might have been Alex Steele or somebody like that. But
nice.
I heard that, and I was like, that is what I do. That's my, So the whole point behind Wasted Talent Fabrications was I work on airplanes for a living. I don't fabricate, really. I fix. I'm a parts changer primarily for type of things like that. We do metal work here and there when something has to go really bad where we have to do metal work. For the most part, it's changing hydraulic components and stuff like that. I'm pretty decent at fabricating, but I just don't do it. So we wanted the initials to be WTF just because it was funny.
Oh yeah.
And now that I've gotten into doing these live streams and everyone abbreviates everything when we're in these, everyone abbreviates it and they're like, holy shit, did you do that on purpose? Like, yes, I totally did.
Yes, I was ahead of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It took us days to come up with initials to be what, WTF. Like, me and my buddy sat at work as we were doing whatever, just throwing things back and forth to each other. Like, what about this? I'm like, that doesn't really work. And when we figured it out, I was like, that's perfect.
Dude, that's awesome. And the good thing is, like, that's something that, you can, the struggle with Narcoleptic Customs is like it's us, it's Michael and Steven Narcs, so it's hard to, but like with, WTF, you can take that and grow it. And like Big Blocks Garage, you can do anything with that, Other folks can sign up and things like that.
Yeah. I mean, but yours is very you know what I mean? You don't have any, because that is some of the stuff everyone's like, why? Like, I have a lot of people like, why waste the talent? It sounds so demeaning. I'm like, well, there's a good story behind it. But sometimes I got to, explain it. They're like, oh, okay, that makes more sense.
Right. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing any comments or anything. There were some folks that were a little upset that Lyle was going to be late. Now I'm sad, but I'm excited that he's running home to jump on with us, and it's going to be. I got to tell y'all, he's one of my favorite dudes. See if I can jump in, because now that I've changed the name to not Lyle, I wonder if it'll let me change it back to eventually Lyle.
So I saw Danny said here they sell tacos in Sicily. I've not seen tacos, paninis, and we had shawarmas last night. Actually, they were pretty good.
I don't know who Rich GT350R is, but what's up, man? He said, "Hey, what's up, Big Block?"
Yeah, Rich is good, dude.
Yep,
good dude.
Yeah, the group of people that are that follow you, Wasted, are it's big. I jump on watching some of the live streams and things like that. Man, it's a good size that you guys have as a following.
Well, and I'd stumbled into that community. Would have been end of August. Cletus had a Facebook page, and I was at I was at the point where so I hit 2 years on YouTube. What was it? Thanksgiving Day, November 25th. And in August, I had a total of 312 subscribers at almost 2 years at that point. And I was like, I'm talking over 200 videos out and 300 subscribers. And I'm like, I'm doing it wrong,
Oh, bro.
Whatever I'm doing.
No idea, man. You got no idea.
Well, I know you relate to this a ton. I've seen you talk about it. And so at that point, I was like, okay, I got to do something different. This isn't working. So I got on the Facebook. I was like, I'll join some of these groups and see, you know. So I typed in automotive YouTubers. You know what I mean? I want people, because there's a million sites out there for, you know, sub and all this small YouTuber grow, blah blah blah. And I'm like, that's not what I want. I want to be with other people that are doing the similar things and like what I'm doing. Long story short, I ended up into this little community of doing lives, and somebody was open, you know, put it up for everyone to join in one day. And I was like, why not? And just hit it off with everybody, you know, just bullshit and shooting the crap. And I'm kind of quick with a joke and light up a smoke. So he just went with it. You know?
I think your wit is what gets us going. Oh, Casey's back. Here we go, dude. What did you do? Uh-oh.
He's got a delay.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Apparently, somewhere in Middle Tennessee, the internet just went away, and now it's back.
Dude, that's what happened to me the other night. So, but at least we had some big storm. Like, I don't, you know, it doesn't look like it's storming there where you're at.
No, it's nice out, but totally gone. Hi, everyone. I'm back.
Nice.
Yeah, hey, welcome back, man. Yeah, every now and then it gets really weird over here. Like it slows down and everyone gets all like they're in a fax machine. I'm like, okay.
Stuff with Cletus here a while ago says that he's got to go back and watch some of the LS swap videos again. Learn something before they put the LS in the Volvo. I'm excited about it. That's a 960 Volvo swap they're doing. That's probably the wagon I would build if I was going to LS swap a Volvo. You know, a lot of folks do the 240 Volvo swap. I'm telling you, the 960 is the way to go because it's a family dad rig, and you can just it's comfortable.
And this one's the executive. It's like the high end. Yeah. All of the Volvo dudes says.
Yeah.
I love that thing. So do you know how we came to the Volvo? How we ended up going that route?
No, tell me. I'm in.
So dudes with wrenches there. We were doing a live one night, and he had gone out to the farm. He's got, you know, a farm where they grow old cars. They just grow up out of the dirt everywhere in there. It's kind of and he goes around and he's taking pictures of the different, trying to figure out what his next big build is going to be. Essentially, is what we're looking at. And so we had a whole episode of us just basically talking shit about his cars and oohing and awing over the cars. And like, what about that one in the background and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
One of them is this Volvo. And I'm like, listen, I dig this. And he's showing off like really nice, like 3-door Suburbans and like really nice cars.
Yeah, cool stuff.
And then cool stuff. And I'm like, that's okay. And then this shitbox rolls around. And I'm like, that's my style. And everyone craps all over me. They're just like, why this one out of all this? And I was like, because this is the one I'm not worried about ruining. You know, no matter what we do to this car. We chop this thing up and ruin it, and no one's going to care. I mean, you mess up that Suburban, and it's the end of the world.
Yeah. You're gonna hurt some people's feelings. You tear the Suburban up.
Yeah, exactly. So my idea at the time, because you know the crew is not such a big LS swap crew. I mean, dudes really isn't. Cletus is all about it, but everyone else they're kind of purists. I guess would be the way to go with that.
Dang Mopar people.
So I threw out.
Well, sorry, I had to jab at Matt.
I was like, let's put a 12 valve in it because that would be cool. Just put a 12 valve with a stack coming out, blowing black smoke, and name it Greta. Mm-hmm. You know, and just piss off all of that with that. And then we didn't talk about it for like weeks. We went on. I think the Suburban was what won that night, and we didn't talk about it for a couple weeks. And then just bullshit in the group. I was like, we should, because I retire in April. I got to make a cross-country trip, essentially. So I was like, we should just get together and LS swap that thing and, like, knock it out in a week, turn it into, like, a collab-type deal, and take it to things later on. And I was one of those throwaway ideas as we're in one of these, just bullshit, and I'm talking, and it just comes to my head. It happens a lot. We come up with a lot of great ideas, and we just throw at the wall, and they're like, oh, my God, that's great. I'm like, I don't know. It's just an idea. And since then, now it's a total thing. So there's like 7 different channels getting in on it. Yeah. Going to Ohio. Dudes is donating the car. Cletus has a LQ9 and a 4L80E. We're going to stuff in it. We're going to stay NA for now. But I plan on scumbagging him to some sort of turbo or something.
Dude, do a rear mount, cut the floor out of the back, bring the floor way up, do a rear mount in the back. Just ruin people's life.
So some of the problem with that is Volvos, they did this cool thing where the drive shaft goes through the gas tank, and it's a 2-piece drive shaft.
God, come on.
Yeah.
Bro.
Love this. Yeah, who does that? So all that area in the rear is now going to be a fuel cell because I am not leaving that. That's just
does anybody know a manufacturer, like an automotive manufacturer engineer? I don't care who they work for. I want to meet the person and I'm gonna punch them in the wiener, just right in the wiener, like hard, maybe uppercut.
You're like somebody's cousin. They're like, "Hey man, I want you to meet this guy." Why?
Like, dude, you ever met Mike Narks? Yeah, like, just walk up. Hey, will you hit record on that thing real quick? Yeah, perfect. Boom.
Like Thanksgiving's ruined forever. Like, hey, remember that one time you just got me jumped?
Yeah, and just one time, and then I mean, you know, I would think it would probably roll. We'll roll around on the ground a little bit, you know, tussle. But like, dang, dude.
Yeah, who comes up with
engineers, man.
Just see Mike like haymakering to the groin.
Yeah, I just want one, just one. If anybody knows GM engineer, yeah, the dude that designed this Trailblazer I'm working on, I really want to meet him. Bad, real bad. Yeah.
So you think automotive engineers are bad? You should see some of the stuff airplane engineers do. I
can't imagine.
Things like I work on a C-130, and it's so much room for activities in there, but they find the smallest little holes to stuff things. And I'm just like, why? You know, I'm trying to stick these things into the.
There was an opening like this over here, but you decide to just put it right here. Yeah.
Yep. No, it makes sense if you don't think about it.
Yeah, I think they do that for fun. Now, Casey works on cool old cars, but he's got the new fancy car. So I can't wait to start seeing the oil changes and brake job. I can't wait till you have to do a brake job on that thing. And like,
actually, that's my next video that's going to come out. I did a rear brake job on it because when I bought it, the brakes were just gone. And believe it or not, it went pretty easy. Like I had camera recording because I thought this is going to be just a disaster. Now, I needed a 17 millimeter to get the lug nuts off. I needed a 11 millimeter and a 14. Like it was all like weird stuff. Like I've never used I had 17. I don't even know why they have 17 millimeter sockets, and that's what it took to take the wheels off. I'm like, what in the world? And 11 millimeter. I mean, it was just weird.
Y'all, I'm gonna bring in the man of the hour. Has just jumped in the backstage, so I'm gonna bring him on. That all you guys say hi, and then I'm kicking your asses out. All right.
Dude,
Mr. Lyle Barnett, how are you, sir?
7 minutes late ain't bad. That ain't bad.
Listen.
I've been a lot later. Ask my wife.
That's awesome. Well, man, we appreciate it. Dude, look at all that stuff in the back. Man, your office is banging, dude.
It's not bad. I'm in my garage, actually. I just set this up to do the podcast stuff every week. So
nice. Yeah, because you're on Monday nights and then
Monday
Wednesday
nights, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, Sunday afternoon. We stay pretty busy with it, but it's good though. It's pretty cool.
That's awesome. All right, guys, y'all say hi to Lyle Barnett and tell him how awesome he is, and then get your asses out of here.
What's up, man?
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Lyle?
Just trying to make it, man. Just trying to make it. Bobbing and weaving.
No problem. We filled in for a little while. It was not as good as it would have been, but you know.
Well, I appreciate you helping me out.
Yeah, I figured with the time we had, I was like, man, we're going live anyways. I'm gonna drink some beer. We're gonna have some fun.
Oh man, good idea. I didn't know I didn't know if this was like a Southern Baptist type podcast.
No.
I needed to work with. So I got a beer cooler right here. Just one second.
All right. Sweet. All right, y'all. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys next time. I'm taking y'all out.
All right, brother.
See ya.
Appreciate it.
See y'all.
Sir, how are you today?
I'm good, man. Good. We'll start it with one of these little. Oh man,
that
sounds good.
No,
Yingling
amazing.
has not sealed any kind of sponsorship deal with me yet. I actually have some new stuff in the works we can't really disclose yet, but it is it's drinkable. We'll leave it at that.
That is good news, man. I know you tagged them in a ton of stuff. You've got a big wide panel on the side of that car that their name would fit great on.
Oh yeah, I've sent them. Look, I've had renderings made. Like I've done the whole. So I can't say they've done nothing. They sent me 10 cases of beer, I think, for my wedding back in June.
Nice.
So I mean, and much appreciated, right? But I'm still hammering them about a sponsorship. So we'll see what happens.
That's cool, man. Well, I definitely want to say thanks for coming on first. I know you are a busy guy. I've been watching for several weeks, and a couple of years for sure on all that stuff. So, dude, if you want to, man, we'll jump in it. Kind of the first thing is let you introduce yourself, obviously, and then kind of tell everybody where they can find you. I do like that you've committed back to some YouTube videos. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, and my name's on the screen, obviously I'm Lyle Barnett, originally from a very small town called Robbins, North Carolina. If you look at North Carolina on the map and find the geographical center, my house is pretty much there. I grew up in a small town, a 1A high school, played sports, was always interested in racing at some level, but just didn't really know which direction I wanted to go. I toyed around with some motocross stuff on four-wheelers, just didn't really have the kahunas, I guess you would say, to jump that thing on the triple. I had a buddy that was really, really good, and we would go practice or whatever, and he would jump like over my head, and I'm like,
right,
not for me.
That's not what I'm going to do.
I actually had interest first, and because of the same friend, I had interest first in round track racing. He had a late model truck, which he was super successful in. Thought that's what I wanted to do. We were actually in the process of purchasing one, and my dad comes from the drag racing world. He was a bracket racer until I was born, and I was like one Thursday or something after football practice, and we were supposed to go buy the late model that weekend, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think about drag racing?" And at the time I was like 14 or 15 years old. I didn't really care, if it was loud, made more horsepower than my daily driver, and we got to go race, then that was cool. So instead of going and buying a late model stock truck, we went instead to Tommy Kirk's house, owner of MacFab Beadlocks, and bought a 7.0 index 4th generation Camaro with like a 468-inch big block in it.
Yes.
And MacFab, some people don't know, MacFab, before it was a beadlock company, was just the name of our race team. Like, it stands for machining and fabrication, and we just wanted something. There was like 4 of us that ran, and we just wanted something to call ourselves, right? Something to put on a T-shirt, and that's how that started. Complete tangent there, but I bracket raced for like a couple years. X275 was in its conception, right? Like they were running like 530s. And so we bought a 3rd gen Camaro, a complete mullet machine. We bought like a 565-inch big block, converted it to a nitrous friendly Andy Bill. If you followed Outlaw ProMod racing back in the day, Andy Bill built my nitrous engines, and we went X275 racing. By the time we finished the car, the class was running like low 520s, high 510s. And we were always like a 10th behind. I mean, when I say we didn't know shit, we didn't know shit. Like, we could burn a nitrous engine up with the best of them. We were lifting ring lands. If I made it 2 or 3 rounds, there was zero doubt that when we pulled in the box for the semi or the final, that thing was going to be huffing out of one side. Like, nice. Absolutely 100% burn it all, So, but we learned a lot. We had fun. Things kind of picked up for us. We met at the time Stevie Fast Jackson when he was in the orange car, the early days of the first orange car. He convinced us to switch everything to Pro Charger. Dad and I switched our car. Tommy Kirk built the Blue Goose, which I drove for years. So we put everything small block Pro Charger. We go back X racing. We're still a 10th behind. We were running 490s. They were running 480s. We went 480s. They went 470s. There for a little bit, we were running kind of with them. They were in the bottom 60s and we were in the high 60s. And at that time we had decided that X was just not for us. Let me backtrack. around home, a competitive X275 car could run in the local small tire radial, no time shootout deals.
Yeah.
Well, as things progressed and technology took over, our local small tire stuff, which still to this day, but at that time had the names of like David Pearson and Little Evil, Ziff Hudson was around, Barry Mitchell was around. I mean, big, fast small tire guys. So you couldn't compete with an X275 car anymore. So we decided we wanted to be able to run local and also go to, at the time, kind of your only choice then was Donald's races twice a year at South Georgia. Yep. So Pro 275 today, which was like Outlaw Drag Radial then, I guess, was a thing. And we decided we're going to go twin turbo small block racing so that we can do both.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, the Corvette that I campaigned in Radio versus the World and then ultimately had my fire in, which is right there. It came up for sale. The whole operation, literally everything to go Radio versus the World racing. And at that moment, we went that direction in like, I don't know, mid 2014, probably.
Yeah.
And like completely scrapped my 4th gen. Tommy Kirk, in the meantime, sold the Blue Goose to Mark Dykeman in Boston, and Radio versus the World was all I had, and then obviously everybody knows the old crispy Corvette. Gave me a pretty good ride there in September of 15. So I don't know how far we want to go before we talk about other stuff, but that kind of catches you up to where my drag racing career started, almost ended, and then was kind of the platform that I used to get to where I am today. But that's kind of the beginning.
Well, and so dude, I'll just tell you, what's crazy to me is to get back in a car. That's big balls. You carry them. We know that. I think that probably let's kind of work that into the charity you were supporting. I know in November, I know you probably support them all the time, but we've got a good listenership right now. If you want to tell people about that, and then you can tell that story if you want to. We can move on.
I really don't mind talking about it. So obviously, for those of you listening who maybe don't know, I had a really bad fire and crash. Actually, the helmet, you can't really see it. Right there is the helmet I was wearing. The visor's all messed up. Anyway.
Yep.
But I had a really bad fire, which resulted in a bad crash in September of 2015 at Lights Out or No Mercy 6, I think. Your typical twin turbo Hemi, which pretty much is the only option in, a Hemi at least, in high horsepower boosted forms of ProMod or Radio versus the World. If you don't have a Hemi, you're behind. But at the time, there were still some big block Chevrolets and 481Xs. Like, there was still a pretty diverse group, of cars. They weren't all ProMods. And then engine combinations. Like, it was a really cool time for Radio versus the World, and really was the peak, I think, of when it started becoming not cool anymore. But anyway, so I guess long story short, twin turbo alcohol deal, 16 injectors, so 2 per cylinder. Number 8, which sitting in the driver's seat opposite side of the engine from me, number 8 dropped an injector, but only 1. So 1 kept firing. It went lean, torched out of the back of the head between the head and the block. Bad enough, but it cut an oil passage through there. So 100 pounds oil pressure, roughly 100-ish pounds of fuel pressure, because guess what? It also cut the fuel rail that sagged behind the intake back there.
Dang.
60 pounds of boost, 7,500 or 8,000 RPM, just a combination.
There's a ton of oils and fluids moving around.
So in that car, the firewall was not tied into the mid plate, which, by the way, if you're racing anything at all, really, but especially something boosted, high horsepower, and your engine sits out from the firewall, and hopefully the firewall is complete, because the firewall is just that, right? It's a barrier. It should be a barrier between you and the engine compartment. Well, mine had a firewall, but it was cut out where the transmission bolted to the back of the block, and there was just Zeused in carbon enclosure there. Well, I don't know if any of you have ever tried, but if you take a torch and hold it to a piece of carbon fiber, it doesn't last very long, by the way. Turns it into carpet pretty much, or just it melts the resin and that shit. So it filled the entire inside of the car with fire. I went through the traps at like 175 and I was on fire already. So
Damn.
we're bound to, like I'm out of control at this point. I've let go of the wheel. I'm swatting flames because face shield was up. Problem number one. Had on number 5-5 gloves. Problem number two, and you can't really tell, but skin grafts, face, hands, feet, burnt my lungs up. No fresh air. Had on 5 shoes. Had on a 15 suit. Thank God, which is hanging on the wall up here. But I was about 75% prepared for that fire, right?
Damn.
And you need to be 100, not 95. You need to be 100% prepared for a fire like that if you're gonna come, which I was super fortunate, blessed. The good Lord was watching me to make it through. It was touch and go for a minute. He's not gonna make it, and a near-death experience is not something I want any of you, especially listeners, to experience if you can help it, right? But so I spent 2.5 months, roughly 2 months at the JMS Burn Center at the Doctor's Hospital in Augusta. One of the best burn centers in the country, if not the best. Patched me back together. A really good job. Great people. Owe them my life. So in response to the care that I got there, I started a fundraiser for the kids that will spend their Christmas holiday in the burn center. Not something you really think about until, you've either experienced it or maybe somebody like myself has told you about it.
Yeah.
But there are kids that this is burn season right now. And for any of you listening that are going to have bonfires, no gasoline, please. Like diesel fuel, kerosene, just the way that the cavemen did it, anything, but just not gasoline, not 87, not 89, not 93, like nothing gasoline. Diesel fuel, cool. Lighter fluid, great. Kerosene, even better. But no gas. Like right now, 70% of the victims that come into the burn center are bonfire and gas can or gasoline related. But anyway, so the kids that are going to spend their Christmas holiday there more than likely are not from Augusta, right? Like that burn center is one of the best in the country. So more than likely, if you're in there for severe burn, you are probably airlifted there like I was. So in turn, your family more than likely has to relocate, right? Because if you're there, you're going to be there for a while. If they admit you into the intensive care unit at that burn center, you're there for a minute. So these families, at least one parent probably quitting their job, right? But, Uncle Sam and the rest of your bill collect, they don't care, right? They're going to send that phone bill on the 2nd of next month. Your power bill's coming the 4th or whatever day, they don't care. So this year in particular, usually I just supply toys, right? Like this garage I'm sitting in has been full of toys.
That's
just
great,
to give the kids that are going to spend their Christmas holiday there, because more than likely the families can't afford to buy the kids Christmas, right? Well, this year they had an abundance of toys donated. So my fundraiser simply, it went towards some of the kids because they did this huge shopping deal at Walmart.
Oh, that's cool.
A lot of what I raised went to the family so that they could just continue to live, right?
That's
Make
great.
their car payments and feed themselves, pay for the hotels that they're having to get while they're staying in Augusta at the burn center. Like it's a huge financial burden, right? I was very fortunate that, my dad has started a very successful business back in the late 90s and was able to live in our motorhome in the parking lot at the hospital. My mom was there when 90% of the time she had to go back and forth for some things, but I was very fortunate to have a family that was not, I guess, per se, financially burdened by what happened to me. Had good health insurance. You're talking millions of dollars in hospital bills.
Oh, so, I can't imagine what it costs for a day just to even be there a day.
Well, I can tell you, like my life flight was $46,000. So, and I didn't fly that far. They flew me from Uganda or something. Like I flew from Valdosta, to Augusta. The same.
It was Georgia. It was Georgia to Georgia, right? Not like Seattle to Georgia.
So concentrated care, like your nurse to patient ratio there is usually 1 to 1.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, man. But you know, we would have paid double, right? Because they literally saved my life down there. But
yeah, man.
So the fundraiser that I do every year, it either pays the family so that they can just continue to pay their bills and continue to feed the kids and themselves and pay for hospital or hotel, you know, bill. I mean, it's just, you really think about it and think about just in a frantic picking up and moving somewhere like today.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
because I mean, that's the reality.
Right.
One parent is either in the helicopter or plane.
Mm-hmm.
The other parent is going home to get stuff ready.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's the way that works.
Yeah,
Man,
you know,
that's
and
wild.
And most of the time you wouldn't think to even grab your toothbrush or underwear. Like you're probably going to go to Augusta and go to Walmart and buy everything you need. Right. You know, and
and you're,
so
anyway, you're gonna spend $300 immediately. And then you're like, dang, I got to pay, you know,
it's $100 a day for this hotel room, you know, or whatever. So the expense adds up, and Sherry Videtto, who handles kind of, I guess not public relations, but that position for the hospital, called me and said, hey, what do you think about just giving these families, you know, $500 or $1,000 gift cards or whatever, just so they have money to spend? And I was like, perfect, you know. So I had a $20,000 goal this year, and I haven't added it up to the dollar, but we were north of 18 grand.
Come on, that's awesome
that we raised this year, and I'm gonna donate throughout the year because, you know, I do that every year around Christmas. But fact of the matter is, that these people never stop getting burnt, right? You know, like there's going to be people that get burnt in May, you know?
Yeah.
And
that's right.
So I usually save, you know, roughly half of it or something like that. And then in May or June, Sherry will call me back and say, hey, we've got, you know, another so many kids and families, you know, this is how much I need. And I'm just like, yep, here it is.
That's great.
You know? So we had 23 kids in the intensive care unit this Christmas. Wow. And between myself and the others who provided the toys, we sponsored and funded all 23 kids and their families. So,
and that's great.
If any of you on here donated, thank you so much. And it's still like it's kind of ongoing. I hate to just I don't want people to feel like I just keep asking, you know, even though it's going to a good cause. I don't want people to think I just keep asking for money, right? But it is ongoing. Like you can, if at any time you think, hey, you know what, I want to donate, and we can do this as a tax write-off. Like I have a nonprofit deal, the Burn and Reconstruction Centers of America nonprofit that I work with. So we can go that route. Like there is endless opportunities if you have the means to do so. So if you do, you can get up with Mike or myself through private messenger or whatever, and I can either help you directly or steer you in the right direction. But
that's awesome, man.
It's a feel-good deal, man. It's pretty pitiful, you know, to see those kids down there like that. And like I said, if they're at that burn center, like they got burnt, man, you know, like they got messed up pretty good. And I met a lot of good families when I was in the burn center, kids from the age of 5. There were people in there way older than me. You know, there's all walks of life. You just never know what's gonna walk through those doors, you know. And the same thing for those nurses and doctors. They don't ever know, you know, they never know what's going to come through those doors. And it's just cool to be able to help all of those folks out, both the hospital staff and the families and kids that spend a lot of time there.
Dude, that's so great. And what's crazy is like, that's just normal life to them, you know. That's like, okay, this is what we're going to do for the next. I mean, you know, just how long was your recovery? I mean,
a year.
So I mean, you stayed there for several weeks, I would think, and then you know you're going to keep revisiting that place, I would imagine.
Yeah. So severe burn, I don't care what anybody tells you, or if you've been severely burnt and had full thickness skin grafts, it is a year-long recovery. Period. Like, and that's if you do it right, you know. Like I got all these compression garments. I wore this face mask. I was in outpatient rehab for like 8 months, twice a week at least, you know. Like it's a long process, and they map it out for you. Like they could not spell it out any better. Like you need to, I mean, I was stretching every day. you know, I mean, inevitably you stretch and split the grass. Like it's tough, but it's a year-long recovery. I had 5 or 6 these laser treatments that help to soften and kind of smooth the edges of the grafts, you know, like, and this lasted for a year. I mean, in total, I've been under like 30 some times or something like that. I had 20 some surgeries, you know, but it's a long process. So with that being said, when I was discharged, like really my recovery had just begun, right? You know, I was back there weekly for the first month, bi-weekly for the next few months, once a month for a couple months after that. You know, and then obviously at some point I had my final checkup there, which was really just to make sure that everything looked good. And they've reconstructed my eyelids, right? You know, it just kind of melted my eyelids together. So they've taken skin off my neck. They cut my eyelids in half and then add skin in between because I didn't have functional eyelids, right? Now, amidst that year-long recovery, my eyes were sewn 80% shut for a year, right? I saw out of a hole about as big as my pupil. And there's some pictures if you go on my social media, which I guess I didn't plug that earlier. You can on Instagram, it's just Lyle Barnett. On Facebook, it's just Lyle Barnett. And there's some pictures. I think I have a burn album on my Facebook somewhere where you can kind of see progress, you know, over the months there of that year that I'm referring to. But at some point they cut my eyes open, and then the reconstruction process of my eyelids started, right? And I've had 2 surgeries on both eyes, and then a third on my, which one's this? That's my right, on my right eye. So like it's just, you know, and all this being said, we've talked about this for 15 or 20 minutes now. All of this could have been prevented had I put my face shield down. You know, like we wouldn't be talking about reconstruction of my face, right? Like we would be talking about how I made it through this awful fire and all it burnt was my hands or whatever, you know, but so it's all, we can kind of backtrack to, if you're a drag racer and you're out there and you watch Street Outlaws, don't do what those idiots do, right? You know, like, and I've beat dead horse after dead horse trying to get those guys on the Street Outlaws to take safety more serious, right? Because they're like, people don't believe it, you know, but those are high 3-second players when the race gets into the later rounds, like for real. You know, they're running high 3-second, 200 miles an hour, like they're ProMods, you know, for the most part. And these, I mean, I see it all the time. Chuck Sightsinger, no gloves, you know, and just a helmet with maybe no shield or shield up and no neck collar. Like it's just unbelievable.
Like, come on, man.
You know, and I've talked to them, you know, and people are like, oh, you just got to stay on them. I'm like, man, they're grown men, man. I've told them a couple times, but unfortunately at this point in the game, it's going to take one of them getting seriously hurt and God forbid, or worse for things to come to light. You know, it's, so any of you out there that are racing, you know, take it serious, man. Like it's another, it's expensive. But drag racing as a whole is expensive. Don't spend another 1,000 to get another 10 horsepower. Spend another 1,000 to save yourself another 10 seconds in that thing if it's on fire, right? Like it's simple. 1 + 1 is 2, not 3. You know?
That's right. Tom Stark said that he popped in a while ago. They raced the 55 wagon on a bunch of drag and drive stuff. He said Lyle's a badass dude, and they just put a fire suppression system in that car.
Yep. And there's all kinds of cool fire aid. If you are in the market for a fire suppression system, Mags Fab Works, Jason Digby, who, you know, I drive the tooth jerker for, which is right there.
I know it's backward.
Right there it is. They are a big dealer for those. I can help you out. I've got a local guy that does some fire aid stuff in Mooresville. Like there's all kinds, and it's affordable, right? Like $1,000, you can get a badass fire suppression system for anything.
Man, that's crazy. And it's funny because, you know, we do a ton of drag and drive, ton of cruise type events and things like that. And I always carry a fire extinguisher because there's been so many times where you've come up and like some dude's shit is on fire and you like, they're just standing there watching it burn, you know, like on videos. I've never walked up on somebody's car on fire to be able to put it out with my little fire extinguisher I carry in the truck. But like just have one, man. Just have it.
Yeah. And like fire aid makes these, little aerosol can looking deals, you know, and like we stick them on the side by side or whatever when we're at the racetrack. You know, they make these little holders. You can put them around your pit area.
Yeah.
Nobody's safer. Nobody is more fire safe than me at the racetrack. I can promise you that.
Yeah, 100%.
Sometimes I may carry one around in my back pocket. You know, you don't ever know.
Man, he's like, listen, there's some shit break down. I got it. I'm ready.
There's so many good companies out there making stuff at all price levels. You know, there's just no excuse today for somebody to be driving something 7.0 index, Pro Tree Eliminator, whatever you're running. There's no sense. And like I've seen 6.0 index cars get in trouble. My dad pulled a guy out of a 6.0 index car at Rockingham one time that would have died if we wouldn't have been there to pull him out. Like cars on fire, no fire safety anywhere. You know, just so you never know when your time could be. And when it's your time, you need to be prepared. And
fight your time as much as possible. Don't let something easy like that take care of it. Yeah, I'm with you. Carl Steamy here is just talking about putting out Tom Frank's Mustang. So just wild, man. Dude, let's move to some car stuff, man. Let's talk about like beer money. I love the story of that. I watched that season like twice, I think at least. Great season there. And then you've campaigned that car. Tooth jerker. Let's talk about God. What's the other one? I'm hang on. I gotta get to my notes.
The Moonshine Missile is the wagon.
Yeah. Moonshine Missile.
Yep.
So, walk us through beer money.
Yep.
And then tell us about the other cars too.
So, in 2017 or 18, I guess, James Lawrence and the guys at Power Auto Media came up with this reality type TV show called the $10,000 Drag Shootout as part of the Horsepower Wars series. 10 days, $10,000, a 6-man team to build a car.
That's crazy.
So, Eric Yost, Customs by Bigun, headed our team. We all put in this application deal. They chose Dean Carnes and the Stinky Pinky team, Jay Bodie and the team from California, and they had a dream team that they handpicked. So there was a fan vote team that would fill the 4th slot, 4 teams.
Gotcha.
And we were.
I was wondering where the name Dream Team came from. That makes sense.
So their Comp Cam sponsors one team, and it's handpicked by anybody who applies that doesn't apply as a team. Like you can just apply to be on the show, right? And try to be chosen to be on the dream team. So fan vote got us in. We go there for this. You can watch it on YouTube now is the easiest place to watch it. Horsepower Wars Season 1. In 10 days, we built my beloved I got the opposite, man. I got my shirt on here, my beloved beer money. And we go to, in 10 days, we built it LS Turbo, stock 8.8 rear end, which is still in the car today.
Wow.
The motor and other things have made kind of transformed, but it still has the same rear end, the same case on the Turbo 400 stock case transmission, just a cool piece. But so we go to Norwalk. We had like 3 or 4 rounds of qualifying, 4-car shootout, obviously. And we end up winning the thing. It was a quarter-mile race at the time. We went like 8:51 at 165 or something like that.
That's insane.
On the 6th hit or something, 6th or 7th hit or something like that.
So one question I do have, like ahead of time, do you guys get to order and find some parts and things like that?
So you don't know what car you're going to get before you get there.
I guess that's
we have a competition at the beginning, like day one, and in the order in which you finish in the Olympics, as they called it, is the order in which you get to choose your car. So we won, and we chose beer money. There was another foxbody there available that the dream team got because they finished second, just like they did in the race. Got them. But so that's how we ended up with that car. So you can we knew we were going to go LS Turbo, so we had already started sourcing those parts. We knew we were going to have a Turbo 400. We're pretty sure we were putting an 8.8 in it. And so you can kind of plan, but obviously there are some things that you kind of have to wait to see exactly what you get because it can change certain parts of the build, right?
Right, like whatever exhaust you're going to do for a turbo setup and things like that.
So they're just small things, but I would say 85% of the build was on paper and in a notebook when we showed up in California before the build ever started.
That's great.
So, so we win the deal, bring it home, make some small, like we changed torque converters. Greg Slack of Converter Design Specialist in Albemarle, North Carolina, builds converters for anything and everything I drive.
Nice.
So I came home. That's the very first thing I did was put a Greg Slack torque converter in it, and that picked it up like 4/10 or something like that, to the eighth. And nowhere really at all now, but especially around home, there's no quarter-mile racing going on. We race 8 mile. I mean, the only quarter-mile racing I do today is in NHRA ProMod, but so we changed the gear. We did some small things just to get it 8th mile friendly, and I raced it some. It was still pretty close to street legal, so we put a big radiator in it. And I did these local streetcar shootouts, like 20-mile cruise, right back to the lanes, top it off with fuel, and go race. Was pretty successful with that. And then the small tire no prep thing kind of became a big thing, right?
Yeah.
They started paying 5, 10, 15. Now they're paying hundreds of thousands, or whatever.
It's crazy the amount of money that stuff brings.
Right. So we built a new engine, something that was capable of making more power. Precision Turbo, who's been a long-time sponsor of mine, came on board. They've sponsored me a couple of turbos for that thing now. Put a nice turbo on it. Just made some small changes. Put a full Holley Dominator on it, for fuel injection. Switched it to E85. Your typical deal for LS turbo.
Yep.
At that time, it was a stock block 5.3 that we had bored like 120 over, so it was more like a 5.7, and I won bukus of races with that engine. And so I raced it like that for like a year and a half, kind of just to keep the story moving along with the car. Pete Harrell of Harrell Engine and Dyno HED in Mooresville, him and Eric Yost's shop are side by side. We decided we wanted to build an aluminum engine, so we got a 6.2 block, built a stock bore, stock stroke, 6.2 with good stuff, and had a bunch of partners jump on board, race winning brands, which consist of your names like Wiseco, K1. They came on board, crank rods and pistons, Wiseco pistons, but their boost line rod, a K1 crank, Mast Motorsports. They do all the badass heads. Yeah. They gave me a set of their LS3 heads, so we put square ports on it.
Yeah.
Manton came on board with push rods, T&D. We went to solid roller instead of hydraulic. Billet Atomizer, Jack, when we switched it to alcohol, and Jack and Billet Atomizer did injectors for us. Holly on board for an intake. A bunch of, I hope I haven't missed anybody and they watch this and call me and cuss me. But Pete Harrell is he's a mastermind in the automotive industry, period, but very good, especially with his boosted engines. Excellent at camshaft specs. So we developed our own beer runner camshaft. That we run in that deal. It's a pretty simple, it's all shelf stuff, like nothing's super custom, but all spec by Pete. All the install and fab work done by Eric Yost and the guys at Customs by Bigun. So Chris Bailey, that was on the team, works for Bigun. Like I said, Eric Yost, Pete Harrell, myself, Jason Smith, TBM Brakes, he was on the team, and then my co-host on Beards, Burnouts, and Beer, Chad Reynolds, made up our 6-man team, and we built a pretty cool piece, man. I still race that thing today. Like, I just worked on it Monday night. We pulled the engine back out because we got to put a mid plate in this thing. Went ahead and turned her upside down. Rod bearings look brand new. Like, just, and I'm gonna tell you, I've ran that thing hard this year. And we won. I think we attended 8 like big money no prep races this year. I won 6 of them.
Dude, that's crazy.
One race we had to split because of rain, and one race I broke the transmission and got beat in like the second or third round. So we've had a really good year, not only with that car, but obviously with the ProMod as well. The Moonshine Missile, which we talked about a few minutes ago, built on the same show in season 2. I need to plug my computer in because it's about to die.
Nope. to answer some questions from a few minutes ago, Tom Stark asked about winning in ProMod. That is definitely some stuff that's coming up. I wanted to kind of let him give some street car stuff. We all love that kind of stuff first. ProMod is definitely on the topic list, I promise. 815 LSX Swaps asked, did you talk about PRI? We have not yet. I'm excited to hear some of those stories. And then Dirty Panda says he's got a 240 vert for sale. He's got an idea. And then Alita, Miss Connor Stark here, she asked when and where will you run Beer Money next as you jump back in?
So next, so I have a grudge race down at Bradenton, Florida at the U.S. Street Nationals. I'll be down there running ProMod with our elite team.
Nice.
But I have a grudge race down there actually with a car named Moonshine, which I thought was going to be a copyright infringement lawsuit that I was going to cash in on, but I actually met the guy and he's pretty cool. So,
so you're like, okay.
I told him $100 and I won't say anything. Pass it over, pal.
There you go.
So that'll be next for it. And it's like the U.S. Streets is not no prep at all. So I'll go there and probably turn the wick up pretty good, which is a terrible idea, but I'm going to do it anyway. I got a grudge race from the tree there. And then Jack Stan Jimmy, James Tall, that's on Cletus's channel. We're going to race from the 8th mile to the quarter.
Oh, nice.
As another grudge race. So I got like 2 grudge races down there I'm going to do. And then we'll be back in the Carolinas for back into the no prep season. Clifford's got a series he's going to run, a point series that I'm going to try to run. There's several big money races right in the beginning of the year. So if I'm not in the ProMod, I will hopefully be no prep racing beer money somewhere. I have a kid on the way that'll be here in May.
Nice.
So that's kind of gonna slow things down for just a little bit.
It's gonna change some stuff for a minute for sure.
But I told her, I said, look, we got motorhome, we've got it all planned out. You just got to be willing to take that kid on the road, so that'll be fun too. That'll be my first, so new dad alert, right?
Yeah, dude. Hey, listen,
got to learn on the fly.
Man, there's nothing wrong getting up that kid at 3 a.m. That's the only time that I got with mine when they were babies. It was me and them in that recliner, man. I'm telling you, I loved it. It was great.
But so the Missile was built on Horsepower Wars Season 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was a whole drama-filled deal in itself. They were on the transporter, across the country. Juan's discount towing service or whatever.
Well, hang on though, back up because it was you had won something else before that? You were going to have a different car.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. So
then you get those switcheroo on you.
The Olympics, which again is the first competition and determines who gets to choose in what order. Mm-hmm. Team Bigun, yet again, we win the Olympics and we choose. There was an S10 available, and that's what we wanted to build. And so we choose the S10. We're standing out in the parking lot celebrating, and here comes the Moonshine Missile around the corner, and my arch nemesis. And I don't hate him, but we definitely don't like each other. Dwayne Guttridge, Big Daddy Dwayne Guttridge, who, if you watch season 1, you'll understand why we don't like each other. He comes pulling around the corner in this station wagon. At first, we were all kind of pissed off, but it is a cool freaking car, man. Thing, it looks cool. It's a station wagon. It's got a big block in it with nitrous. That was our plan all along. It just, instead of going in a gutted S10, we had to completely disassemble a mint Ford Granada. Dude, it was
sad.
It was plush, man. I mean, I honestly campaigned for a little bit. Dude, can we pay to not this car? But it was what it was. So we build the station wagon. The S10 that we were gonna build is now what Team Mac has. They won season 3 in the No Prep series, and that S10 is the one that we actually won and should have built.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
So anyway,
that's what I was gonna say. Everybody that's won that show ends up, they go on and campaign those cars.
Yeah. We haven't campaigned the Missile as much. Bigun has 3 little boys under the age of 5 and just doesn't have the time.
Get off of her, dude. Dang.
Right. I told her, I said, you know what makes that happen, right?
Yeah.
But so we haven't campaigned the Missile as much. We do plan to get it out some this year. But like a lot of the local no prep racers, Bigun's like, dude, why do I want to go no prep race with you? You're just going to beat everybody's ass and I'm going to lose, because it is, like, and it's not because of me. I mean, I think I do a decent job driving the car, but Pete Harrell, the whole team, like, it is arguably the most feared from the tree side because there's this huge difference, and there is, but like, you're not just a no prep racer, Lyle. You're not a true street rep.
Oh, whatever.
Okay. I'm not the baddest top end from the back of the track, from the return road side, back towards the starting line, facing the tower, no prep racer, right?
Yeah.
But Beer Money is like, it's arguably one of the most feared tree side no prep cars in the Southeast.
Yeah.
We won literally almost every race we showed up to last year, and have been super successful with it. But not last, but certainly not least, the tooth jerker back here.
Wherever is it? Yeah.
Right there. So whenever I was recovering from my crash, Jason Digby, who is the owner of that car, told me, he said, look, if you ever want to come back racing, you got a seat.
That's cool.
And a year almost, they hadn't cut my eyes open probably 2 or 3 weeks before that. Yep. And I went to Darlington when Jimmy Bradshaw was the manager there and was prepping, and made my first passes in a radio car just like a year and a week after my crash.
Wow.
And made several passes in it that day. Went and raced it later that month and was the first Leaf Spring car to go into the 20s. And then we go to South Georgia for Lights Out 8. Reset the record a couple times and won my first race back at the very racetrack that almost claimed my life a year and a half before that. So
let's talk about that feeling, because here's the deal. Here's what I've dude, I've done research, I've watched stuff, I've read articles, all that kind of stuff leading up to this. I feel like, and this is my opinion, like that's where you belong, right? You're great at it. You're good at the tree. How great did it feel to let go of the button that first time and like get out? Like, you're 330 and you're like, yes, I've missed this,
man, and maybe it's why I've had, so much success, but like when I'm in that thing, I'm not thinking about how cool this is. Like I'm at work, I'm here to crush whoever decides they feel fit to sit in the other lane. And that is my only job, so like I was nervous when I fired the car up the first time, but when I pull in the burnout box, like I'm there to do a job, and I want to do it well. Right.
Yeah.
I take a lot of pride and I've done a lot of work. And it's a mental game. Like I take a lot of pride in the way I perform on the starting line. Like it's like clockwork. We've got in-car videos. I do the same thing. I don't care how hard you try. You're not going to shake me from the other lane. You can hang me out. You can cut your car off. You can fake like your car won't start. Leave me sitting over there. The longer you leave me sitting over there, and the more aggravated you get me, the closer to 00 I'm going to be. I can promise you that. And I'm going to leave your ass sitting there.
Man, there was a video of you I was watching yesterday Friday of a race, and the guy turned his car off. Oh, we can't get it to start. All this kind of stuff. You're like, right up on the beams. You're like ready to stage, and then his car shuts off, and then he comes in. You go like 007.
Yeah. Yeah, like, man, it doesn't like it. You can't. I mean, like when I won Dallas, which is Wally 1 right here.
Buddy.
Justin Bond tried to play a little starting line game, hung me out in the turbo car, and I wasn't great, but the transmission was 900. So I think I was like 40, which is not acceptable in my book. I was 40. He was like 107 or something. I beat him by 2,000 I went 589 at 250 or 3 or something, 252. To his 582 at 244 or something, and it was 2,000 at the stripe, which if you see the finish line photo, it is, dude.
Yeah, I think it's like the front of the.
It was like 9 inches or something.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
But I've worked really hard. Like that's not something that I think there may be some natural. I guess, talent that you just kind of are, you are able to focus like that. But I've worked really hard because as a driver, especially when we're talking about NHRA ProMod at that level, that is your only job. Like you are there for one reason and one reason only, and that is to get the car from the starting line to the finish line as fast as possible and leave on time. I don't get to work on the car anymore. Like I'm just the driver, and I take that job very serious, and at the end of the year, we won 2 NHRA national events while we won 2 here, and both on a whole shot,
and your first year in the Pro Mod.
Yep. Yeah. In my rookie season, and my crew chief, Justin Elks of Modern Racing, which is where I work today. Before the final round in Vegas, he called me in the trailer. He said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "What do you want? How much can I cuss on here?"
A bunch. I don't give a shit.
So he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to win this motherfucker." Like, what do you mean? What do I want to do? I said, "Well, I know that, but do you want to go 75 or 6, or do you want me to give you something I think is going to be there and let you do your job?" And I said, "Well, will it go 75 or 6? And he said, "I just don't know. We're looking at the graph." He said, "I don't know if it'll make it through this spot." And I said, "Well, don't do it. Give me something close to an 80 flat and let me do my job." So, and that's what we did.
So have you been like, do you do some tuning, or did you do tuning early on? Like were you kind of a one-man show and then it's grown into, there's smarter tuners. You're like, you do it,
Yeah. So early on, my dad and I kind of tuned our own stuff, which is why we were so bad. Stevie Fast Jackson tuned my Pro Charge stuff and got us on the right track. And then we just kind of power managed. Pete Harrell tunes anything that I drive with the exception of the Pro Mod, Beer Money, the Dart, the Missile, anything grassroots style level. Pete Harrell of Harrell Engine and Dyno tunes it. Now I can power, and I'm not going to say I can tune. I can power manage and manage a fuel map, and I know what to look for. But as far as a tuner, not me, just a driver. But now the Pro Mod, absolutely not. Justin Elks is my crew chief, Anthony Lum, my co-crew chief, 2 of the most sought after tuners in the game, period. They rank right up there with your Steve Petty's, with your Jamie Millers, with your Jeff Pierce, with your Billy Stocklands, with your Pat Museys and your Brandon Schweitzers. Like they are top level, top shelf. Because there's so much in a Pro Mod that you have to tune. The chassis, the engine and the power itself. Like those things are on the teetering edge of not going down the racetrack every time you let go of the button. So 0 tuning, 0 input from Lyle. I give them input after a run. Like, this is what it felt like. This is what I heard. Also something that I'm super in tune with. Like I know what the car should be doing and sounding like. When I turned off the racetrack in Vegas in the semifinal, I just felt that just doesn't sound good. We go back to the pit. Everybody's looking around like, man, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, look, we need to pull the rear end apart, and it was cracked. Like I'm super in tune with the car, and I know what it should be doing. But as far as tuning the car, negative Ghost Rider. Not allowed.
How many passes do you make in that car? Like are there, do you guys go to a track and is there off-season practices made in that car, or is it like? That's like next level stuff. I just don't know anything about.
So obviously I drive for Elite Motorsports, Richard Freeman, Erica Enders and Troy Coughlin Jr. and Marty Robertson and Aaron Stanfield are all my teammates. And we have a big team test coming up at about mid-January down in Bradenton. We do test in the off season. I was just at Bradenton for the Snowbirds. Now we were running 8th mile, but I was still in a Pro Mod, still keeping seat time.
Yeah.
So there is some off-season testing, but man, it's so expensive to run these things up and down the racetrack today in today's time that you just can't do a whole lot of it. Right. I mean, you can't afford to do it. If we tested as much as we wanted to, it would cost us $1 million a year to run the car.
God, that's crazy.
So not as much as we would like, but we do enough, to feel like when we show up to a national event that we are there and we are competitive enough to win.
Yeah. So when walk us through, I want to talk about you leaving the line, like you know, what's a week look like for you, you know, leaving the button. And then one thing I noticed in your ProMod experience video that struck me was every time, you know, as you got to the end of the track, it was shoots, neutral, power off. It seemed like to me, right? Like how many times do you sit in the car and practice that whole movement?
You figure it out the first time, and that's all natural. Like I watch myself to see what I'm doing and if I think I could change anything in a run, and everything that you see me doing is natural. Like
that's cool.
Shoots out into neutral, power off, window, the lock deal, flat, like you flip it over, reach over and cut the fresh air off, you know, like that's just all natural, man. That's cool. It's you have to become a creature of habit. And find a routine to be successful in one of these cars and I think what separates good drivers from great ones is the ability to differentiate, to alter from your normal routine and not get rattled, you know, like,
right.
And it's just as important as going up there and being a good driver and leaving on time is being able to play the head game the other direction, right? Like you need to be able, you need to be able to play the game, and you need to be able to be played and not get rattled, you know,
right?
Because these are like when, you know, you're at a national event, you're racing the best pro modified drivers in the country, you know, and they're all good enough to go up there and play a game and not get rattled and kind of get separated from their normal routine, you know? So there's all kind of things that you have to consider.
You're not a professional running into a bunch of guys that are just getting a pro
zero
ducks together.
No ducks. You know? And then once a year we go to Charlotte and we run 4 wide, you know, which none of us as drivers, if you fans like it, cool, please come out and see us. And you can come by my pit and I'll tell you how much I dislike 4 wide drag racing.
Dude, I can't. I mean, if one thing goes wrong, it's everybody's.
Well, a big part of that is understanding the tree, right? Because it's different, man. And in a turbo, this will be my first year doing it in a turbo car, and it's going to be really tough because it's super easy to get hung out in a turbo car because it's, you know, let's say we all 4 pre-stage, right?
Yep.
The first person that turns the bottom bulb on starts the 7-second timer for the other 3.
Oh, wow.
So let's just say that I go, when we turn the bulbs on, I go ahead and start bumping, I go ahead and start spooling, and I'm the first one in. The rest of them have 7 seconds to get in, right?
Yeah, and you on the button, there's a long time.
Right. But I can't wait to go in because then I'll get timed out and not be up to boost, right? So that'll be a pretty tough race for us if everybody decides to play the games. You know, if everybody races like a normal person and go ahead and goes in, you know, then everything will be fine. But, you know, at this level, you got to do what you got to do to win, and sometimes that means playing a little starting line game, and you just so be it. You know, just sometimes it's what you got to do.
That's crazy. So let's talk about your first win, ProMod. You know, you're literally I want to say there's a video of you like crossing the line and you're Lyle Barnett, excited, and then you come around the end, you're excited, you're doing some interview stuff, and we can obviously tell you were pumped to win that, and you know, emotional. So that's a big plus. Like what's the next 2 days look like for you after that?
A blur, man. Like you spend the next 2 days. Well, I'll tell you what, you spend the next 2 days recovering from the hangover from the night of the win. I can promise you that, because we got with it after we won the first one, and then we were in Vegas for the second one. So you can imagine how that went.
Oh, dude, that's crazy.
But you know, the first win, you can watch if you go to NHRA's YouTube channel, you can scroll. It's pretty far down there now, and you can watch the ProMod final, and that was the full circle moment for my career. You know, when I went through the finish line in Dallas, there's 2 blue LEDs on the wall well beyond the finish line, and I saw mine come on and I lost it, dude. Like, I was crying so hard by the time I got to the end of the racetrack, I could barely see to turn off. You know, and when you come to a stop, like, it's both doors come open, there's people shoving trophies and hats. Amanda Busick's in my door. You know, and I said, Amanda, you got to let me, I got gotta gather myself, And so
you're like, I don't want to be crying on TV.
Right. So I get out and go to the back and start taking some of my gear off, and I reach back in to get my sunglasses because, I'm known for my backwards hat and my sunglasses. And Amanda Busic's like, oh, no, you're not putting those on. And I said, oh, yes, I am. I said, I'm putting my sunglasses on. But if you go watch that interview, I lose it again. And that was just the buildup of emotion and the full circle moment from 2015 to that time. I went from the darkest time for myself and my family, the lowest of lows, and I just won my first national event in my professional drag racing career. And I, for me at least, I couldn't have rode it any better.
That's awesome.
We did it, and it was on a whole shot and had a lot to do with me driving, but I've got a hell of a team, man. They are top notch. Some of the best to ever do it. From Ben Stoss, my engine guy, Mike Earl, my back half guy, Justin Elks and Anthony Lum, my crew chiefs, my dad. I had a bunch of friends that had flown out. It was just cool, awesome, dude. And while I get a lot of the credit, as drivers, we tend to get all of it. I could not do it without all of those aforementioned, and I'm really looking forward to 22, man. I tell you one thing, I've got my eyes set on a championship.
Yeah.
And if Portatree didn't double their business in the off season, then there's going to be a lot of broken hearts and a lot of national event trees laying on the track when I'm done, because I'm coming out there ready to rip. I want to
go chop them down.
I want a championship really bad. And
that's awesome.
These two right here don't mind a couple compadres, I can tell you that. So,
that's right. Go build a shelf. Gonna be a whole 2 shelves of them, man. That's
great. I want to have to reinforce a floor in my house that's got to hold so many.
That's awesome. So tell us, how do you get a ride in a ProMod? There's just such a small amount of people that are able to drive that car. Obviously we know you're a drag racer, but how do you get that meeting? Not necessarily how, but what's it like to be able to do that?
So I was just fortunate to be right place, right time. Mm-hmm. Justin Elks, the modern racing shop where I work now and where we handle all ProMod operations for Elite Motorsports is in Mooresville.
That's great.
And it was just we had kind of got to know each other, and I've always wanted to drive a ProMod, and they had seen me race other stuff, and it just kind of happened,
Yeah.
But I flew to Dallas Fort Worth to Elite HP. So Elite Motorsports is in Wynnewood, Oklahoma, which is 2 hours due north of Fort Worth, Texas. But Elite HP is kind of where their showroom and whatnot is. So we fly out there. I'm nervous as shit. I'm meeting with Richard Freeman, with Erica Enders, with Alex Laughlin, who was my teammate in ProMod for about half a year. We're meeting to potentially sign a deal, and by the end of the meeting, we had agreed on a deal, and we were preparing for the 2021 season, and
that's great.
And they didn't like baby me along or nothing, we went to my first test session to get to test the car for the first time, and 2 to license. And on the 5th run, I went 568 at 253 miles an hour. They were like, they won't fucking around. It was
this is a good decision.
Justin told me, he's like, I don't know, you can't make one of these go slow, so we'll just go 100 feet, 300 feet, 8th mile, 1,000 feet, and on the 5th run, you're taking this thing to the quarter-mile stripe. I'm just letting you know. And that's what we did. I went 568 at 253, and then I went 567 at almost 254. And that was literally in 7 or 8 passes. I ran at that time 3 numbers off of the national record, and we were headed to Gainesville.
They're like, load up, bro. We're going.
Yeah, and Richard called, and he was like, man, good job, man. I was expecting him to be all pumped up and stuff, but he was just like, no, that's what I expected. Yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty good runs there. Yeah, let's see if we can duplicate that in Gainesville. I'm like, what the fuck?
You're like, dude, that's from 253.
Yeah, I feel like I just won the U.S. Nationals, man.
Right.
But we go to Gainesville. I qualified 4th. Lost on a freaking hole shot, which is not me. to Gray, but I paid him back in the final in Vegas, so all that came full circle too. But
that's great.
You know, we had a pretty good year, man. We struggled through the middle, which is why we made the sudden change from the Pro Charge combination to the twin turbo deal. Didn't make that change until after the second Charlotte race in September. Had like 2.5 weeks to get the car together, zero time to test really, and go to Dallas and win the very first race we entered with the twin turbo car. And my first race ever in that car. That car's first race in a year and a half. So
that's crazy.
Win Dallas, went to Bristol and just struggled, and go to Vegas for the final race of the E3 Spark Plugs ProMod series and won in Vegas. So just we went from a year of kind of down in the dumps and, you know, morale was low to we ended the year on top, you know, finished 6th in the points. Yeah. You know, in my rookie season, just a cool deal, man. And something, you know, those opportunities don't come around often, you know, to be associated with a team like Elite. Yeah. And I'm just, you know, thankful for anybody and everybody that supported me along the way and stood behind me. I've had great sponsors, and still to this day that still support me. And you know, and I would just like to thank all those people, you know, my dad especially, because he's the sole reason I've been as successful as I've been. And I look forward to racing with him in 2022, you know, and hopefully farther than that.
Yeah, right.
I don't want to wait another couple years to win a championship. I'd sooner go ahead and get that out of the way next year.
Just go on, let's do this.
But we both have that common goal in mind, you know, and so does the rest of my team, obviously. So we're looking forward to it.
That's cool. So let's talk about Motion real quick, because they've been on. Yep. You and Doug and Andy have been friends for, it sounds like, for a long time, based on what I've seen. You know, we love those guys in drag and drive stuff. Yep. How'd you get hooked up with them?
So back when Motion Raceworks started, when they were operating out of the spare bedroom in Doug and Andy's apartment, they show up to South Georgia with like a handful of parts they had developed and wanted to know if they could sponsor the Dart. So they were, I was like one of the first cars that they ever sponsored.
That's great.
You know, and I was as proud of them as they were of me. We mesh well together. We kind of are cut from the same cloth. And I've continued to support them as hardcore as I can. And they have continued to support me, you know, sometimes more than I think I deserve. You know, they support literally anything that I drive. If it's got 4 wheels and an engine, they'll sponsor me in it, you know. Yep. And got to do lay mullets, you know, with Stevie Fast, which is a very cool experience. We're not round track racers, but we like to try. And then they let me drive their burnout car, the Bald Regal, where I ended up winning burnout rivals. And that thing,
well earned, dude. Well earned. That was a good round.
They're just good people, you know. Like we're not just friends anymore. We're more like family. I go to Bradenton to race. I stay at Doug's house. Nice. You know, they are racers for racers. You know, they're not your corporate America Chinese shit, as Doug calls it. They bleed red just like the rest of us. They love their country, you know, like we do, and they're just good dudes. And I can't thank them enough for all their support over the years, because I couldn't have done it without them. That's for sure.
Man, I'm telling you, and just his, both of theirs. I've talked to Doug more than I have Andy, but just their drive to keep producing parts. They haven't settled for
constantly
anything.
Innovating. Like it's unbelievable, man. They're always coming up with something new and cool. Yeah. You know, and I always want to be like, man, I thought of that first, but I never have. You know, like they're always coming up with some new shit. You know, and it's just cool.
Yeah, stuff I didn't even know I needed. Now I'm like, okay, well, I'll add that to the list. I need to build a car to put that on.
Yeah, so I'm in the process of doing a bunch of work to Beer Money right now, just getting it ready, kind of updating it. And that was one thing I talked to Doug about, is we're going to see how many Motion products I can get on this thing. You know, so like he sent me the mid-plate kit. I've got catch cans and their mechanical fuel pump drive and their chute handle. I mean, I've got, you know, all kinds of stuff. Their valve covers, their valley cover tray, you know, you name it, I'm trying to put it on there. And they recently bought TBM brakes and Rife sensors. Yep. So I run TBM brakes on the car already. We put all kinds of Rife sensor stuff on it. Nice. You know, so just it's cool to be associated with those guys. And I hope that relationship lasts for all, if not most of my career.
Yeah, and then there's a phrase you said in the ProMod experience the other day was you Barnetted something, and so I would think you're probably a pretty good tester of parts too.
Yeah, the term Barnetted came about amongst the guys that I race with here locally. I'm pretty rough on shit, like real rough on shit. So anytime I break something, they're like, "Oh, Barnetted something else." My dad's not too proud of that, but I'm like, dude, it just is what it is. Like we're rough on shit, and it's funny, So we, I've Barnetted all kinds of stuff. I try to keep that to a minimum in the ProMod because you Barnett shit in that thing, it gets really fucking expensive. But beer money, I Barnett that some bitch all the time. I've wrecked it like 3 or 4 times. I'd use an adjustable wrench on just about anything.
Everything's got rounded edges.
Everything's got rounded edges. Channel locks on the AN fittings, like don't give a shit, But that's what makes that car fun. Is it's just a carefree. It's carefree and fun for all. Free high fives everywhere. So
I was gonna say, like you've that's why we built the cart. We've got a Grand Marquis Death Cart. It's got a turbo 4.6 in it, and like you have to own a car at some point in your life that you don't care about. You have to.
It's the most fun form of racing that I've ever done. Like I love NHRA ProMod. It's my passion and my job, that's what I do. But they ain't nothing like coming home and getting my old wore out faded enclosed trailer, hooking it behind my pickup truck, squat it to the ground, and tear down the road to go somewhere and race it. So it's pretty cool, man.
That's cool. So do you think you'll have a weekend where you'll have like a beer money race and the ProMod stuff? You think you'll tag team?
At the US streets, I'm going to tag team. I'm going to take it down there to grudge race it, but otherwise, unless we're unless we're local outlaw 8th mile racing, they're just two totally different things, Well,
so and think about that now. As I said, it'd be just too hard to mess with that.
Yeah, it's so much. I mean, I don't have any business taking it to the US streets, but we were drinking down there at the Snowbirds, or actually it was at Les Mullets, and
you were drinking at Les Mullets. That sounds interesting,
man. If I'm breathing, I'm drinking. But we were bullshitting and had drank too much, and I start running my mouth, and next thing I know, I've got 2 grudge races locked in. So I try to be a man of my word. So
nice.
I'm gonna haul that pile of shit down there, and I'm gonna run these guys for a couple $1,000s or something.
That's too cool. I did think it's just something. My buddy Travis Deertel, who's another big Rocky Mountain Race Week guy, is going to be, I think, a new driver for the Elite HP team. So maybe he'll end up in your truck. That dude's awesome. Has a big turbo K10 square body that is like a 9-second truck on hard tire 235s. It's a pretty amazing truck. But So that leads me into drag and drive stuff, dude. Do you have time to do any of those events?
I want to, man, but honestly, no. I just with the NHRA season, with beer money, I got a kid on the way. Like I want to. Like I'm gonna go to Sick Week, and just ride, and follow it around and do some video stuff with Chad Reynolds and whatnot. Like we're gonna go hang out. But if I acquire another race car, my wife is going to kill me and leave me, So,
and she can't do that because you got that baby. Like, dude, you won't be away from that baby.
I can't. One, I can't afford it. And 2, I just don't have the time, man. If I've talked to Tom Bailey some about and Doug and them about driving something if it's available, right? But unless it's just somebody that wants me to drive for them, and I can just jet out for the weekend and not help you get it together and be just your typical flying driver.
Just show up, have some fun for a couple days.
I would love to. I just don't have time. There's not enough time in the day for me to get it all done. So
Justin Chestnut just popped in and said, hell yeah, me and him are doing Sick Week in his 29 Model A with a blown small block. It ought to be 18-inch wide tires in the back, all that kind of hot rod shit. It's going to be a ton of fun. So we'll hang out for a little bit. I'll bring some beers and you can drink them.
You're gonna drink them too. I'm gonna.
Oh, dude, believe it. This will be the first time I've co-piloted anything.
Okay.
So it's on. I told him, I was like, man, just get ready. I'm just gonna be a blur, and I'm gonna record a bunch of stuff, and that way I can remember it later.
Heck yeah.
Dude, what haven't we talked about? I figure another few minutes of maybe seeing somebody.
I've got a Christmas party to be at 5, but I just one, I want to thank you for letting me come on. And anytime you need a fill in, I promise not to be late and drag you out for weeks on end. Just been a busy past couple of weeks.
Yeah, man.
But if you want to follow me along on social media, like I said, Instagram, just Lyle Barnett, Facebook, Lyle Barnett. I have a YouTube channel, Lyle Barnett Racing, or the Boosted Beard Racing channel. I'm not super consistent on there, but I've started this ProMod Experience series, and I'm going to try to, anytime we take the ProMod out, I'm going to have some help filming wise.
That's great.
In the future to capture more of that. Locally, we no prep race beer money all over the place, and I try to give enough heads up where if people want to come around and watch, but I have learned that sometimes that scares some of the local guys away. So I try to not let them know too early that I'm going, so that I don't show up and there's nobody to race.
Yep.
But I do have beer money apparel for sale. I'm almost done with the website. If you're super interested and want it now, I probably can't get it to you before Christmas, obviously, but you can private message me and I can take an order through PayPal or whatever. All I have right now is black t-shirts. I'm also working on getting more of that together. But
dude, black t-shirts are all I own anyways.
Right. This hoodie was a one of one. You cannot get this, and I'm not going to make any of them. So
that's
sorry.
Right. But it's going to be too dirty to do it anyways.
Right. I am going to make hoodies. I've got koozies coming, hats coming, and I'm going to try to wait to release most of that when the website's ready. It's just it's too much for me to handle taking orders through PayPal. So if you're dying to have one, I can do a PayPal order. If you can wait like till the middle of January at the latest, I'll have a complete website where you can type in your own information, pay for it. All I got to do is stick it in the mailbox.
Dude, that's great.
So that stuff's coming. Full 2022 NHRA ProMod season coming up. Hunting a championship, licensing in a pro stock car.
Oh, wow.
Could potentially cameo in one of those a couple of times. Gonna race beer money. We're gonna race the missile. Gonna have a kid. I got a ton going on, but I'm gonna I'll do my best to keep you guys informed and let you follow along.
Yep. And then tomorrow night you're on with Wes Buck on the Drag Illustrated
ride along. Yep. So Wes Buck, the guys at Drag Illustrated do the Street Outlaws ride along. I'll be on there tomorrow night. We shoot the shit and bullshit around, drink beer and have a good time. Tuesday night, Chad Reynolds and I will be on Beards, Burnouts, and Beer. Depending on what Wes has got Wednesday night. When's the 23rd? Is that Wednesday or Thursday?
I think it's Thursday. That's the last day of 12 Pods of Christmas. It's Thursday.
Okay. So Wednesday night, you may see me on the Wes Buck show. The Carusos are having their annual Christmas Bash show. So if everything goes as I think it will, I'll be on like 4 or 5 shows next week. So
nice.
Just look around, tune in. We're always having fun.
Yeah.
And like I said, for all of you that tuned in, thank you. And thank you for being fans of drag racing. It's the greatest motorsport on the face of the planet. And we can't do it without you. I appreciate, and I know the rest of my comrades appreciate you spending your time and money watching us. We can't do it without you, and we do it for you. So,
awesome.
Again, Mike, I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, thank you so much.
If I can ever come on again after we win Gainesville, bring me back on when we win the championship. I'll be in like a tuxedo T-shirt and a Speedo. So it's going to be
high
good.
Class.
Chad Reynolds and we're not going to disclose it yet, but Chad Reynolds and I have some pretty cool stuff coming up this year where we're going to be on the road doing some shows. So just be on the lookout for that. We're going to release that early in the year. So a lot going on.
I got to watch. Chad on.
Yeah. You need to get Chad on here. I hope you're going to need more time than you had with me because he talks a lot. I love him to death, but Jesus Lord.
I'm telling you, it's awesome.
So,
all right, dude.
Thank you very much, Mike. Like I said, if you ever want me on again, let me know. I promise not to be late. Shoots out.
Don't you threaten me with a good time.
Down, baby.
See you, man.
Everybody, see you.
Bye. Y'all, how cool was that? That was cool. Lyle Barnett is really a big inspiration. I mean, he just goes and gets it, to, like I said earlier, to get out of to 2015, be in that situation, a year of recovery, and then get in a car and go fast again. That's pretty amazing. Thank everybody for the comments. That was awesome in the chat. If you haven't done it yet, please share out the interview. I am going to be cutting it up for a podcast tomorrow. I'll probably move the stuff from the beginning where we had Matt and Brian with Wasted Talent and Casey. I'll probably move those to the end of that because we've promoted so much with Lyle Barnett to get him here. I'm so excited he jumped on. It was awesome. He's a badass dude, and sounds like he's willing to come back. So I didn't ruin our opportunity to talk to him. So that's pretty cool. All right, guys, I'm going to end it here. I'm going in. I realized I haven't eaten lunch yet, and it's almost 4 o'clock. So it's time to get something to eat. Thank you for hanging out. Finish my beer and head to the house. Guys, see you tomorrow night. Brian, Wasted Talent Fabrication is going to be on. We're going to talk LS swapped Subaru, LS swapped 350Z, working in Sicily, which is like in Italy, and kind of how he got there, what took him to there, what he's going to do after retirement in 6 months. So it's going to be awesome. I cannot wait. I'm so thankful everybody jumped on earlier so we could give Lyle time to get home. So, all right, guys. Thanks so much. Thanks, Tom. I'll see you here. Thanks, Dudes with Wrenches, talking about all great stuff. Lyle's cool, man. All right. Bye, y'all.